Hi, my name is Ben Christopherson and we're here in Ealing at the University of West London, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cold lemon souffle or souffle Milanese. So souffle Milanese is a cold preparation which can be made in advance and is really suited for big functions, big events. You can make plenty of them, or it can go on an a la carte menu. It's quite a straightforward preparation to make. But it differs greatly from hot souffles, obviously because it's a chilled dish and the preparation technique is very different. So this one really is more similar to a mousse than it is to a souffle. It just sits in a ramekin in a similar way and rises above the ramekin lid and carries lots of flavour, lots of aeration, lots of soft textures. So this souffle Milanese has essentially three different parts to it. It's got an Italian meringue, then it's going to have a pâte bombe, then it's going to have whipped cream, and they're all going to be folded together, flavoured with lemon juice and lemon zest, and set with gelatin. So to do this preparation, you need to be relatively well organised, get all your bits ready. You're going to make 3 aerated preparations. So I've semi-whipped my cream and put it in the fridge, that's ready to go. I've got my gelatin soaking just there, ready to go. And then I've got all my preparations that I need to make both of the heated meringues. So I'll start off making the pâte bombe. So I'm going to heat my sugar and small amounts of water up to 120 degrees. And I'm going to whip the egg yolks on the machine, get them aerated. As they come up, get aerated. I'll pour the hot sugar syrup on. Pouring the hot sugar syrup on will pasteurize the eggs, and this preparation is, in the past, has been done just with egg whites and egg yolks, and you mix them together and you aerate them without any type of pasteurization. But now, in today's sort of more modern age, it'll be as safe as possible and make sure everything's pasteurized. So the cooking method, the Italian meringue method and the pâte bombe method is definitely preferred rather than just using raw eggs. In order to prepare this souffle, so you have your ramekin, your souffle ramekin, you're going to need the mixture to sit above the ramekin, obviously, to look just like a souffle. So in order to do this, you need to make a collar that sits on it and captures the mixture. So you need to measure some pieces of silicone paper that are going to go round sufficiently, and they're the correct height as well against the ramekin. And then all you need to do is just put them together and then just make sure they're reasonably tight and that they're sitting flat, and just put one staple in, and that's sufficient to hold the mixture in place. Right, so when your sugar syrup reaches 120 degrees, you can then pour it onto the whipping egg yolks in a steady stream. And by doing this, you're going to pasteurize the egg yolks and make sure that you've got a nice light pâte bombe. While that's mixing just there, I'm going to start setting up the next syrup, which is the syrup to cook for the Italian meringue. Just going to allow the pâte bombe to keep whisking until the mixture's cooling and it starts to really aerate and get nice and light and fluffy. And then I'm going to start doing the same process, but just with egg whites to make the Italian meringue. When I cook the syrups for making the Italian meringue or pâte bombe, and you mix sugar and water together, you have to be really careful not to allow the sugar to crystallize. So one of the things we always do is brush the sides down with a little bit of clean cold water, just to stop any of the sugar on the sides of the pan crystallizing the mass inside the pan. I'm just putting a little bit of sugar on top of my egg whites for my Italian meringue. So when you make an Italian meringue, your aim is to create a really stable foam before you pour the boiling sugar inside. And one of the best ways to do that is to add a small bit of sugar, a teaspoon to 100 grams of egg whites into the whites in order to stabilize the foam as it's whipping. It really, really helps. Otherwise, you'll find that the egg whites that you create, the foam is quite unstable, it goes a bit cloudy. And when you pour the hot sugar syrup in, it starts to break down and doesn't keep the volume. So we'll take that first pâte bombe. So we have our pâte bombe preparation there, ready for the mixture. And then we have the Italian meringue starting to make here. So what I'm doing is just whipping up the egg whites with a pinch of sugar, just to get it into a nice stable foam as the sugar syrup is cooking to 121 degrees. So it's really important you do your best to get these to come together at the same time. You want the Italian meringue foam, start of the meringue, to be as stable and ready as possible for you when you add your sugar syrup. Right, once the meringue has reached its full volume and your sugar syrup is ready to go, it's 121 degrees, I'm just going to slow this right down and I'm going to pour the sugar syrup on as it's going nice and slowly, which just avoids too much of the sugar syrup attaching to the blades on the whisk and also splashing around on the sides of the bowl. And once I've got all the hot syrup in there, I'm just going to turn the machine back up to speed again, just to get it fully incorporated, get it all mixed in and get that meringue fully whipped up to its maximum volume. Right, so this Italian meringue is mixed enough now, it's cooled down, so it's just warm, and you can hear it's trapping loads and loads of air inside it. Nice and stable. So it's got that nice, nice shiny texture to it. Nice and smooth. So that's that preparation done. So we've got the pâte bombe, the Italian meringue, and then the whipped cream, which I've just had in the fridge. So just give it a little bit more of a whip. Just place that there. So we're going to take the two preparations, the two aerated egg preparations, and fold them together. And as we're doing that, we'll incorporate the flavour as well, all of the lemon. So inside here we've got the lemon zest. And obviously the better quality lemons that you can use, Meyer lemons for example, really, really nice quality, organic, unzested lemons, sorry, unwaxed lemons, the more punchy, sort of fresh lemon flavour you're going to get. So I'm just going to slowly, gently incorporate. So we've got aerated Italian meringue and pâte bombe, and then we've got our whipped cream, which I'm just going to give it a little bit more volume to, just whip a little bit too much. So I don't want to over whip this, because if you fully whip it and then you fold it into this preparation, as you do the folding and the mixing together, and then you put it into the bag and then you do the piping, by that time you will have over mixed the mixture and it will start to split slightly. And one of the real enjoyable parts of a dessert like this is the smoothness and the richness to it. And if you have a split element to it, it'll really interfere with the flavour that comes through. So the last part, you need to melt the gelatin, and then you're going to temper the gelatin with a little bit of the cream, and then you can fold it all together. So the way you do that is melt your gelatin, just make sure it's not hot, and then take a little bit of your cream, mix the preparations together so you get a smooth gelatin mixture. You don't get any strings of gelatin. Just going to add a little bit more. And what I'll do is fold these preparations together. And obviously gelatin is a crucial part of this recipe, because without it the product simply won't set, and there won't be any volume to the mixture that you've produced. So I put the cream in, and then I'm going to just put the gelatin, which is at a really nice temperature, nice texture. It's not too hot. If it's too hot, it will just fall through the recipe and knock out loads of air. Just make sure that, get that folded through as cleanly as possible, and then I can transfer my mixture to my prepared bag. And then you're going to pipe straight down into the middle and then let the mixture come up, and the weight will push against the side of the collar that you've made and it will all hold together. As long as you've made the collar tight enough around the side, it won't pop open and come flying out the sides. Just to get that top flat, just take a spoon, and if it's slightly, there's any element of it which is not completely flat, you get it nice and tidy, just push it in. And then chill it in the fridge to take the side off. The best way, in my experience, to do it is to pop it in the blast freezer, let it get very, very cold, and then when you peel it off, you'll get a really nice clean peel off the side. You don't have to mess about with a knife or anything like that. It'll just peel straight off. And then what we'll do is, once we've got them out of the collar, we'll do a nice simple chantilly garnish. And then, of course, you could use different types of nuts on the sides of the preparation. So roast almonds or ground pistachios, maybe with a little bit of lemon in it as well, a little bit of sugar, just to represent what's in the dish as well. So this is the finished souffle Milanese, so nice, light, airy. And what we've done is just carefully taken the paper off, and then because I've put it in the blast freezer for 10 minutes or so, it's starting to set on the outside and I could just pull it off nice and easily. You do need to be relatively careful, but if it's been set in the freezer, quite firm, then it comes off nice and clean, and you get that nice aerated look from the side, just like a souffle obviously, but it's a cold set souffle. So on top I'm just going to pipe a little bit of chantilly cream. But just to set it off nicely, we'll do a little nice, thin, fine piece of chocolate work. So it's called copo, a nice thin stick. So I've got a little bit of tempered chocolate. So I'm just going to set a piece of tempered chocolate in a row, and then trim it off. So all I need to do, put the chocolate on the marble, and then just make sure it's nice and thin. And this is a really, really simple garnish that you can do, and you can make you can make hundreds of them and store them in a drawer, for quite some time, so long as the temperature's ambient, and store them. And they look really, really good on plated dishes or single cold desserts. Nice and fine, nice and thin, gives it a really, really good finish to a dish that might otherwise look a little bit flat. So just palette the chocolate out and just tidy it up a little bit, just to get the top and the side off. And the aim is here just to allow the chocolate to start to set. So it's about 85% set. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have very, very short, sharp, angular cuts at the chocolate, and it will force it to roll into a very, very thin strip called copo. And what I do is just start to feel the chocolate, and if I show you that you can just still press the chocolate and it will move. And I just warm it up slightly. Make sure the blade's a little bit warmer. 45-degree angle. and just cut the chocolate. And then now I've just got to wait a couple of minutes for it to set, a couple of moments, 30 seconds or so. And then I can take it all off. And I could store it in a garnish drawer or out of the way somewhere nice and some ambient. And then I'll be able to put it on top of that souffle. So just while that's setting, we'll just do a nice rosette just off to the side. So just take these shards off, and then you can take them and you can cut them to size and then position them. Try not to drop bits of chocolate down the side of the finished dish. And what this does is it will just finish off the dish instead of it looking quite flat like that without so much height. Just a little bit of finishing just gives it that slightly finer appearance. So there we have it, the souffle Milanese with chantilly cream and a chocolate copeaux garnish.